Good evening and welcome back to Bald Father Bets, everyone. We're going to give our recap of college football week 4. Week 4. Lay out 2 picks in college football that we've added for the weekend. But first, please make sure you're subscribed to the channel, notifications on. Give this video some love, like, share, comment. Let me know what your thoughts were on college football week 4. So there's a few things from this week. Let's kind of start off with that earlier window where by far the biggest thing that happened was Texas Tech's dominance of Utah. Texas Tech has significantly far and above the best roster in the Big 12. Like, they're not really close. No one else is in the same category because no one else has been able to spend the same amount of money. So the way teams in the Big 12 were going to be able to get Texas Tech was going to be through continuity, home field advantage, toughness, discipline, things like that. If Texas Tech plays the way they did to where they can go into a Utah team, play in front of the Muss, and beat them physically at the point the way they did, they're going to be essentially impossible for any Big 12 team to knock off moving forward. Sorry, my fiance is making fun of me while I make my video. God damn it. We're leaving this in. All right. They beat Utah at the point of attack. They beat them on the offensive line of scrimmage. They beat them at the defensive line of scrimmage. There was nothing that you've come accustomed to a Kyle Whittingham Utah team that you actually saw. Texas Tech just beat the shit out of them everywhere. So, again, there isn't another team in the Big 12, if they show up like that with that roster and they play like that has an opportunity to get them. That doesn't mean that they're not going to drop a game. That doesn't mean that they're not going to have an off game. But at their best, by far, no one's playing with that team. The other thing that kind of jumped off to me in the early window was TCU obviously had an axe to grind with SMU after what happened last year. Really interesting game Friday night that we have coming up with TCU underdogs at Arizona State. Hoover continues to show that he's one of the best quarterbacks in the Big 12. Sawyer Robinson also shows the same thing, but that's another point. I really liked, though, what I saw just overall in terms of the team from TCU. SMU kept fighting back, bouncing back, etc., but TCU really never let them back in that game, and that was positive. In the afternoon window, and this is obviously OU's in a different discussion now that John Mateer has broken his hand, is going to be out for a month. But it's impossible to not be impressed with what OU did on the defensive line standpoint. However, very rarely do I say this, that game was significantly impacted by the officials and bad calls. I think Auburn's actually quite a good team. And I think they're live in a lot of their upcoming games where they're going to be underdogs, including this next weekend, where they're underdogs at A&M. Auburn also was a physical team. Yes, they need to work on the run game because you're going to have a game where Cam Coleman and Eric Singleton and those guys don't show up the way that they did against OU. So you want to be able to get some sort of offense without throwing it deep on the outside. But no matter what, any Saturday, those wide receivers are very, very difficult to actually beat. So as much as OU was impressive, especially on a defensive line standpoint, Auburn was also pretty impressive in that game, and I think they're going to be fine. We talked. I don't want to go too much into it because I don't like when you lose, say little, and when you win, say less. We told you on Indiana, Illinois. That wasn't. I've never named a video before other than just week 3 Thursday night football pick or week 3 college football Saturday picks. And I named the video last week, Indiana will blow out Illinois. They're There was if they play that game 100 times, Indiana blows them out 95. Like that is a mismatch of all mismatches for Illinois. And I want to say that by saying that doesn't mean that we won't be on Illinois the rest of the season. In fact, we may be on Illinois against USC this upcoming Saturday, catching 7 points. So that's not an official pick yet, but we are looking at it. Everything that Illinois likes to do, Indiana has an answer for schematically. And every which way you can get Illinois, Indiana can. This idea, like, Illinois should have lost to Duke. They didn't because of turnovers. This idea of like, oh, well, Illinois just grits teams. Like, that comes to an end, like, when you go up against a matchup. Same thing of Indiana going up against Ohio State last year. You don't get that. You don't get those types of things when you go up against a team that just has you. And they just had them. Texas finally looked like they put something together on offense, and now with DJ Lagway back in a walking boot and John Mateer's hand broken, Texas's outlook over the course of the next 2 games just changed dramatically. That very much so impacts futures bets that you have on them for the playoffs, for the SEC championship. That's big. If you go 2 games when you play a non-DJ Lagway Florida and you play a non-John Mateer OU, it isn't just about that. Okay, you have the upper hand in that game. Like, you can probably get away with doing a little bit less. Maybe one of those games turns into a blowout. You're not playing your starters as long, so then you have less chance for injury. Your team is more rested. All sorts of things like that. This is a recap video of last week, so I don't want to go into it too much, but there is an unverified love affair with Oregon right now. You guys know we gave it out yesterday. We're on Penn State minus 2.5 for 8 units. I'm not going to go as far as to name my video after it the way I did with Indiana, Illinois, or guarantee it, or give a lot. But Penn State's going to beat Oregon on Saturday. They're a better team, quite a bit better. I don't want to go too much further. This is a recap video of last week, and I'm talking about this upcoming week. So, those were really the major things. I think with Florida, Miami, we didn't really learn much. Miami's a good team. They showed that they can beat you in multiple ways this year, whereas that they couldn't do that last year. Even when Carson Beck didn't have his best stuff, they could go toe-to-toe physically with Florida and win. Florida also is, to be out 3 defensive linemen and to play the way they did on defense is significant. Arizona State, gritty win against Baylor. Good culture, good team, and Baylor's still a very good team, especially with Sawyer Robinson. Nebraska, Michigan. That was as close to Michigan being Michigan as I've seen in 2 years. I want to caution myself with it, though, because it was against Nebraska's defense, who we said coming in we didn't think could stop the run. So I don't want to get too carried away, but it's impossible not to like what you saw, especially with Underwood. That guy's legit. He's very legit. So we like their outlook moving forward. I cannot wait for the game where they travel out to Los Angeles to play USC, because it's a stylistic matchup too, and it's also a matchup where D'Anton Lynn shows you how much of a stride he's made with USC on defense, because Michigan will test it. And I still think Michigan's secondary can get got, and they got a little bit by Nebraska. So that's a matchup where one team's strength, in theory, should have the ability to exploit the other team's weakness offensively versus defensively. And I'm really looking forward to that one. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. USC, Michigan State, speaking of going to that last one, Michigan State was never going to have a good game. I don't, people who are like calling for Smith and like all this stuff, and Michigan State actually showed quite a bit in that game. They did well. USC is a really good team. Like when push comes to shove at the end of the year, people will see how much better of a team USC has than Michigan State. And Michigan State, people don't appreciate, even Michigan State grads, I feel like people don't appreciate how broken and dismantled and destroyed that program was by Tucker. That's one of the most decimating coaching stands to go through from anyone. So like it's going to take Smith a little bit of time, and what they showed against USC was actually positive. So I people need to pump the brakes on Michigan State. Aiden Childs is actually progressing really nicely, and mainly with the Smith team, what you're seeing the offensive line progress nicely, and I think they'll be fine. So yeah, that's where we stand there. All right, thank you guys. Enjoy it. We'll be back at you tomorrow with an NFL recap video for week 3. And then obviously Thursday, where we have Thursday Night Football with the Seahawks and the Cardinals. Before we get out of here, we're adding 2 picks for College Football Saturday. We're taking Alabama plus 3.5. We're doing that for 3 units. And we're taking Auburn plus 7, and we're doing that for 3 units as well. We'll get more in depth as to why again in our College Football Saturday picks video. Thank you guys. Enjoy the rest of your night. Get at you soon. Let me know what your thoughts were on college football week 4.